Jim, Greg, it's great to see you guys, man. It's been a while. I got to ask how the both of you have been holding up for the last 2 years, especially with COVID and the way the world has changed so much. How you both been doing?
Well, it's nice of you to ask, and I think I'm not going to speak collectively, but maybe I will. I think it's been okay. Like I think that there are certain aspects of it that we appreciated in that it just gave us time off the road to just sit with music and our lives and just watch the world go by uh, from wherever we were sitting. And there was a lot of letting go during COVID, and I appreciated that. I appreciated being put in this position where many aspects of what my life were were not going to be that way anymore. And so adapting to that and just sort of making the best of it. And so and I guess part of it too is that we both had our own creative bubbles that we sort of sprung up around us, and that was good too. So ugh, I don't know why my head is doing this, but if you're given lemons, make lemonade.
You're speaking the truth, brother. Absolute truth. Jim, we're here, of course, because we're talking about a new album. There's a tour happening. So many great things are going on, though. How tough was it during COVID to record this? Even though you guys have your own studio, there were so many rules and regulations that you had to go through. Did you guys have to deal with that? Was this album recorded beforehand? Did you have to hold back on this? What was going on with this?
No, everything was done all during the pandemic. So it was made entirely under pandemic protocols. So each of us created bubbles in our respective places. Greg was out in Coburg with Jimmy Boskill's studio, and I was in here with Colin and Tim Vesely, and we created our own little safe bubbles. And when we would get the rough skeleton of the song done, I would bring in musicians one at a time. They go upstairs, they do a rapid test, come down, assumedly negative. We'd work with them for the day or for 2 days, and then we'd move on. So it was made in a way that we've never made records before. Nobody had heard the whole songs except for our own little bubbles, and we hadn't heard each other's songs. Greg sent me his songs pretty much completed, and I did too. And then we added our things onto each other's songs. We were never in the same room together for the whole record. Our musicians went out and replaced parts that Greg's musicians did. I don't know. You know what? It was done in a fragmented way, and yet it was done in a very careful and sculpting way. And it had a lot of benefits. It's not the way that we normally make records, but it was a very. We had all the time in the world, and we could add things very carefully. And so these songs were very gently brought to life. And so I don't know. I think it worked out well, and I think unless you're a real audiophile, it'd be hard to tell the difference between the two studios and Greg's songs and my songs. And I think it all sounds like a band, which is kind of remarkable.
Oh, I love that, man. Technology is doing wonderful things for us, especially
Yeah.
these tough times. Greg, let's make this part official. What is the name of the new album, and how does it represent the band today after, 35 years in the business?
Yeah, it's hard to think of 35 years as being in this band, but yeah, it's pretty literal. The name of the record is called Many a Mile, and and we've put in a lot of miles, emotionally, physically, philosophically, financially. That's an old
I know.
Mick
It's an all
Jagger
Mick Jagger one. Financially,
and
sexually.
um, I saw this image on Instagram. Luke Swinson, he's a native artist from Kitchener, and it just sort of, sometimes for me, I just see something and I go, that's a cover, and like, and there's even been like on Share the Love. Sorry to talk about my
Oh, really?
personal career.
Oh,
But on Share the Love, I saw that image, and then I knew I had to write a record just because the cover looked so good, right? And so, but this one just seemed to, it's a depiction of a tree beside a road on a sort of zen, empty landscape. And the road and the trees sort of join together and go into the horizon. And you know, it's funny when the artistic thing is working, things just sort of fall into place sometimes. You know, like you don't have to work or stretch or reach. You're just sort of open, and things just sort of come to you. And it's sort of like songwriting too. You know, when the songwriting's working, you don't have to struggle with it too much. You know, it just sort of opens up to you. And so you know, that image was there, and we often choose the title of the record from a song or a line in the body of work that has been created. And in one of the songs, there's a line, "Many a Mile to Nowhere."
Yes.
And you know, we already had nowhere to hear, so just many a mile and ...
Jim, 16 albums in. Reflect a little bit on when the band first got together 35 years ago and started recording to where you guys are now. You guys are considered icons in the business. It's funny, I kind of reflected. I started actually, I think I went to college or I started in radio 35 years ago. So in a lot of ways, we both started in the business together. Can you reflect on what the band was all about then to how the band is represented now? Because again, you guys are all icons.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations to you on 35 years. When we came back from New York, we had been really serious in New York, and prior to that about, you know, trying to get a record contract and doing all that kind of stuff. When we came back and we got this band together with Cleve and Basil and then ultimately Bobby Wiseman, we just were a good band. We knew we were a good band, and we were very anxious to get in the clubs, which was, you know, there was a few hoops to jump through to get that happening. But once we did, it was great. We really enjoyed being a band and playing and entertaining people and having them dance and seeing the same people and writing more songs and expanding our set. I think honestly, the rest that has happened has just been presented to us. I don't think that we had a grand plan. I think, in fact, our grand plan was, please stay away from us and just let us enjoy ourselves, because we've been through enough of the deception in the record business that we don't want to do that again. And making our first record was exciting. It seemed like it was a natural thing. The record completely flopped when it first came out, although we thought it was great. 5,000 copies seemed like amazing to us when we were told that we'd get dropped if it didn't pick up. So then it all happens, and it all comes out, and now we are our habit is touring and writing songs and recording. But I still feel in myself that beginning and the not knowing what's ahead, and just writing a song for the pleasure of writing a song and putting it together with the band, and that being the greatest pleasure you're going to get when the band plays it and you think, God, that song works, and that's great. And the rest is kind of paying attention to our responsibilities. You know, it's like being a band and trying to make sure everybody's okay and putting out records. But I think the pure joy of it's still the same for me.
It's a pure joy for all of us. Greg, you guys are on tour. I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Massey Hall is one of the stops. And also, you guys are going to be in Niagara Falls. What's this tour going to be like compared to the past tours?
We'd have to be able to remember the last tour to answer that question. And I don't know if that's possible. So we'll just talk about this tour.
Yeah.
And we don't really know what this tour, it always takes us a couple of shows to figure it out. We have a pretty good idea this time, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, we're going to change the staging up a bit, and that looks very enjoyable looking stage. And the set, like the set we've been doing the last 4 years has been pretty much oldie goldies, and this set will have a lot more of this record. This is very enjoyable. It's funny because we did make it in separate bubbles, right? And the band wasn't even recording it together, but they're enjoyable songs to play live. Maybe there's a simplicity to these songs even because of the way they were recorded. So they translate well to the stage. We did a thing yesterday, and played a whole pile of new songs, and it felt great. And so, I think that there's a I know that I feel it even when I just walk into a rehearsal. There's a nice energy about Blue Rodeo for me, and I think that is translatable, and I think that there is a true affection in the band for just the group dynamic, and I think it's a good energy, and I think that translates to the audience, and that comes back to us. So, I think that there's something in Blue Rodeo shows that would be the greatest consistent. That there is a nice give and take of positive energies.
Definitely has all of that. And I know, speaking for myself, listening to the album, it just made me feel like reminiscing from my younger days to my journey. And this album really does reflect that road. So I'm loving the music. Your vocals sound amazing. Gentlemen, like I said, I know you've got other interviews to do, so I'm going to wrap this up. I want to say thank you so much for all the interviews in the past. Thank you so much for this interview. Looking forward to everything that goes on with you guys in 2022. Going to try to hit one of the stops where you guys are going to be touring, and all the best for you guys in the new year. Thank you so much.
Well, it's very kind of you. And next time, I hope that we can come to your studio and do this interview.
You can come to my studio anytime. The door is open for you.
Good looking shop you got there.
Yeah, you got to love the guitar, brother. Thanks, guys.
Nice to talk to you.
Bye for now.